Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Transport Fever 2. Coming at you with more of our Dedication Island series. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Hope you're enjoying the series. Do not forget, if you are, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and please leave some comments down below. Today, we are going to be doing all kinds of infrastructure. In fact, there is so much infrastructure to do, this could actually be a two-part project because we are going to manufacture goods in Rangerton. And in order to do that, we are going to need to send crude oil to Morpha City, refine it, send that refined oil down to Kinshotaki, where we will manufacture plastic, then move that plastic down into Rangerton, where it can join steel. But in order to produce that steel, we're going to need to move both coal and iron into Curryburg, where we will be able to produce the steel and send it up into Rangerton. And then finally, of course, we will need the infrastructure required to distribute. And the plan is, as we've discussed in the past, to have the goods manufactured in this vicinity here. And the rail yard will go like this. And we'll be able to have the rail yard continue into here to deliver to Druidville. And it will turn up this way in order to drop off goods here to be trucked into Joshland, and then continued into here in order to drop off to Shepland. And then long term, we'll have to figure out a Dediopolis solution as well. So there's going to be a rail, basically a parallel rail, if you will, to this one coming along the back into here in order to facilitate more goods being transported, because we can't have all of the trains running on one set of tracks. So that's going to be the solution there. And then, of course, the rail will also come down into here because we'll actually eventually long-term have fuel. This is going to be where the fuel gets dropped off in this harbor, and it will also be delivered along this truck line, or along this train line here, and along the train line going into here. So we're going to have some busy times with lots of rail going on in here. And that is the second step, because the first step is oil. Well, the first part of the first step is oil. Crude oil, to be exact, coming up into Morpha City. So what I'm going to do is I've done a little bit of adjustments to some roads setting up for this, and kind of doing a little bit of preliminary work. I redid the road going from Morpha City to Kinshotaki. It's a nice straight line. Instead of coming like this and over, we've made it much nicer and straighter. It's now out of the way a bit. What we're going to want to do is get this oil and this oil on a rail heading up in. And you may think, well, why not just put this oil on trucks and head in here? But I kind of want to, you kind of want to have like less moving parts. And by getting all of the oil to a point here to truck in, or to rail in, feels better than having rail coming in and then more trucks coming in, and then you could always have it come in on boat somewhere, and then you've got 3 or 4 different ways of getting it in. Long term, there's oil out here. We might come down into a harbor here and bring it to a station, and then there's oil here and oil here, which we can bring up to a harbor here. And again, it can all come to one station right here, and all of the oil can just be trained right into this point right here, and it's just much more succinct than having multiple faucets pouring into the manufacturing process. So that's the overall plan. So let's go ahead. Let's not waste too much time here. I'm going to go ahead and prepare for the future and make it all the things. And what I want to do is I've made this line here, and I don't know if I want, because what I want to do is I obviously want it to be auto connected to that, but by the time it starts auto connecting along here, I'm basically straight shooting into that, and I want it to come into here. So what I'd like to do is turn it on a line on an angle, something like this, so that it comes in to here. I want it to kind of land, I want it to kind of skim across this and land basically in this area, and then have the oil kind of be refined in a circular area around here, because some of the oil is going to have to get on a harbor and leave to be turned into fuel. So we kind of want the distribution to be train, harbor, and then surrounded by the area. So I think if I put it on an angle, something like this, it kind of does the trick. Yeah, it feels pretty good like that. So let's go ahead and stick it in there. Double check that does connect. It's beautiful. And what I can do is I can go ahead and delete this. I had that road extended obviously way further than it needed to be. What I could do is make this a straight shot and then, you know, adjust the angles or something like that. But for now, I'm just going to leave it. What I also would have to do too is I'm going to want this to also connect to a harbor eventually. So I'd put a harbor in here and have the road connect down here so that we would have drop-offs instantly transport. But that's fine. Let's go ahead and start putting in some tracks. Make sure they're nice and flat. Like that. And go like this. And come in. Now, at this end, what we're going to want is the train station. And so what I could do actually, in order to keep this a really nice straight shot, is let me take a look at the building. See, I'm considering doing a through, even though it would stop. And then that way I can actually have a road going along there, which connects to the harbor down below it. And then we can we can configure on the other side to connect oil over there. Hopefully it would fit. Kind of want this here. So let me go ahead just for a moment and add in a bit more track. Perfectly flat. Hopefully that's about enough. Yeah. Actually, I'm gonna just delete this, because I think that's actually a pretty good spot for it right there. Like that. And then the big question would then become, does a refinery fit over here? Pretty good, yeah. Because by the time what I can actually do is I can get a couple refineries like this, and then maybe a couple more refineries kind of like this along here, and then the harbor in here, and then some kind of doodads in the middle if we want, kind of spruce it up. But yeah, I feel like that's pretty good. And then what we'll do is, because we'll actually want to connect, we'll actually want to configure this long term. We're going to want to configure this I'm going to go ahead and say on this side we want the big guy. That's centered. On this side we're going to want the big guy. And on the other side I'm going to go with the medium guys. Like this. And I don't need to do it all, but just to give you an idea of how it ends up looking, like something like that. And then what we would do is not even have a road, I don't think. You would just immediately place just a sec. It won't connect along there. It has to connect along here. So, but it will connect to that, just that one spot. But what we'll do is we'll put this in, and then we can. So let's do it like this. Let's go ahead and configure, and I'm gonna put that in like that, and then another one of these, and then same thing again. Trying to make it a little bit different from the way I've done other ones in the past. So something like that looks kind of cool. Kind of like that. And then we can do this. And like I said, this should connect along here. And what we want to do is be able to just have two of them, like one here and one there, just kind of centered on each other. So let's go ahead and center this like, probably keep it fairly close. I'm going to line up this section here with the edge and keep it fairly close. And then when I go to do another one, it would essentially, I have to get rid of this first. I'm not going to put the other one in right now, but it would essentially be just mirrored right along with it. Or I could actually flip it around. I could delete this, flip it around, and then it would kind of, that would actually be kind of cool too. That's something I've kind of done in the past. So let me bulldoze this and even that. And then the other one, just as an example to show you guys what I'm talking about. You'd flip this around and the road would essentially go, yeah, the road still gets in the way too much. I guess I'd probably have to get rid of that as well. But I go like this, and because they kind of flipped, it kind of has this mirror image looking thing. And we could just line them up like that. I think that would look really cool. That's kind of a long-term plan. But anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. Let's not spend a lot of time dwelling on the future because we got too much to do in the present. Long-term, I would obviously want to probably flatten that out, get a nice road moving into there. One other thing I would like to do is get a road moving along here. I think let's get a nice flat road coming through here before we do anything else. Like that. And then, like I said, a nice simple road through like that. Gets the job done. So come like that. And then I can just slide that up in there. This would continue straight through. And then I could do some sort of a road connection here coming along the front. Lots of different options, but I don't need to complete everything. This is just kind of giving everybody an idea of what we're going to look like. Now I can smooth this out now that we have a nice flat road across here. And like I said, this will go like that. Then this potentially would be a road that would come like this and straight down here. And then a couple more right there. And then what I could do, if this one didn't catch on, which I think it probably would, but we could always set up some trucks moving around in here with a couple of stations. Just, it would also create some activity, and then of course the harbor would come in here, so we could kind of make a really cool looking area in here. I think, with some crossroads and some trucks moving around. So it's going to look pretty nice in there eventually. Now, let's keep moving. That's the oil moving in. So what I need to do is we need to put in a truck station right here. This is where you have to decide if you're going to make it parallel to the station or to the road. I'm going to go with the road. Like that. Make it just so. And I don't know why I made it so big, but that's fine. Looks good. And then I'm going to need another one down here, like this. This one will have to be a larger variety. I'm going to stick it on this side of the road like this. And we'll just squeeze it in like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in the depot right alongside this. Like that. And then we are setting up two lines going from here to here. This is oil. Oh, shoot. You know what I just realized? I'm going to have to redo this. Okay. I completely forgot. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is fine. I'm going to... So this is... freight... crude oil to Morphus refineries. And I guess I don't need to call it crude oil. It's just so I can have the space. Crude to Morphus refineries. And I missed refineries. There we go. Like that. And then what I need to do is it just kind of clicked in. I kind of forgotten. I want to have this rail turn off and come down into here. And I might have to, because the plan is I'm going to do this. We're going to put in another train station, and it's going to be just like this. And the reason why I'm putting in a second station so close to this one is that I don't want to adjust this one, because I want the plastics is going to come out here, and I want another station close by, but somewhere else, because this station right here I do not want to make an adjustment to. I like the way it looks and the way it fits in, and I don't want it to be wider. And I've already got construction materials coming in here. I've already got PAX line coming in here, and potentially another PAX line eventually long term going out there, who knows. And we still need to bring in the tools, so that's all these taken up, and we still need to bring in the oil and send out the plastics. And I like the idea of having it here because the plastics needs to go out this way anyway. So we're going to bring in this station, and we're going to find a nice home for it. And what I'm going to do is, I don't want it to be this small. Let me think. I can't. Actually, you know what? This is fine. I actually don't mind this, because then I need. Yeah, this is fine. I'm gonna make it nice and tight in here, and I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna center just like that, and like that. Plop her down and be happy about it. And then we're, again, like I said, we're going to come like this. Tracks come right out of here. that is, I think, something I can live with. Yeah, I don't mind the look of that. Come straight out and then down the hill. We can smooth that all out. That's not really something that's functional, particularly functional anyway. It's just a connection between these two. And then from there, we want to do a line that turns to something that we bring out of here. And then I think what I want to do is potentially move these. Oof. How do I want to do this? Because this line's going to come down here, and potentially, and I want it to just turn up into here. I don't necessarily want the trucks crossing over that line. I'm going to delete these like that. And what I'm going to do is bring this on a line. Doesn't seem to want to do it. Let me try something here. Let me put this line in here. And I'll worry with the details later. What I'd like to do is just have a nice smooth ride out here, but I think it's going to be too sharp of an angle. Like, the only way to get it to do that is to be on an angle like this, which is obviously nowhere near this. So I think what I have to do then is just ride that line. I think this outside line and just ride it. Can I get it to go just straight along here? Let me do this. Just a sec. And then we want to get this to come out of here. Just barely. And it collides with the corner of that. So then we have to come a little bit further down. Bulldoze that. And try one more time. Like that. And that is good to go. So like this, and like that. And now we will do the best crossover that it lets us. Like that. Double switch that up. And now we've got the oil able to come out and jump into there. Then we need to configure this with cargo buildings. Like, I don't know if I want the biggest ones over here because I don't want to screw anything up here. Like, for instance, we'd have something like this centered, right? But I don't want to Let me just take a look at something real quick. Boom. We're going to make plastics. This is pretty big factories. What I'd like to actually do, what I think would look kind of neat, is line up these. You can kind of see where there's a little bit of a notch there where we could flip one and then have the other one basically sit inside that. And then do some funky things with some roads or something. So that would mean if I were to do just these ones and not the biggest, which I think that's fine. I don't want to make it too big and take up a whole lot of space. And then we just get, I wonder if this, does that road line up perfect there? It very well could. Let me just check something real quick. Like this. And we have to do a lot of smoothing in here. Like that. And then what I would want to do is grab this road and allow it to come up. I don't think this is going to be any good. Oh my god, it is. Oh my god, it's good. I was being a little bit pessimistic. So come to kind of where the edge of the track is there. Like that. And then straight along there. Just like that. Smooth that out along here. Then, when we put in the plastics factory, like I said, one could go like this. The other thing is, I'm not sure. If I put this down, that should connect, right? Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. So if I were to just put it down, it sucks that the, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete that section of road because it's a pain in the butt. And grab this again, and then that way it's not in the way. And I think I'm going to go like that. If I do this, then the two of them won't be centered on the train station, but I don't care that much about them being centered. Sometimes when everything's perfectly centered, it doesn't look nice all the time. Just like that. And like that. Bulldoze that. Replace it. And yes, that is connected. So the oil will come in, instant drop off. Plastics, instantly back. And then, like I said, we would have the other one just flip, and then we'd have to do something funky with roads in order to, because it would obviously be a little bit off, but that'd be fine. We can do some really cool looking stuff in there, no problem. Maybe a truck station to fill in the buffer. And that's kind of good. And then the tracks, like I said, are going to come down and through here. But what I'd like to do is, this is essentially everything we need for the plastics. And I'd like to move on and get the steel going here before we get too far into this episode and run out of time. Because it'd be nice to have the plastics and the steel essentially ready to go. So I need one of these. Again, I'm going to make this smaller this time because it doesn't need to be big, and I like them to be... And I'm just going to set it up on this side of the tracks, but still connecting to the rail. And go like that. And then the station like that. And then we would go with new line here to there. That is super early in the oil production, and it is cargo crude to crude depot, crude rail depot, because essentially all crude oil will run through this one depot. So that's kind of like, it's just like the crude rail depot. So this is crude via truck on cargo, like that. So that's good, like that. And then we'll also have potentially what we could do is put the, if we were to bring in this oil here, it would come in here. We could actually put up the we could set up something, a harbor in here, and then have this truck station pick that up potentially, and then all the trucking would come down here on that one line from this harbor as well. And then this one harbor would auto connect with these boats. And that's essentially the general idea and the process of how that'll work. So that's good there. That's all the stuff we need there. So let's get going. And the steel. Now, what I did here is I set up some lines, and I already kind of put down the factory because the angles and exactly where I wanted it took me a while to figure it out. But we put this along a line here. I was considering whether or not I'd want rail coming in here. We have the coal, and obviously there, and then the iron's super close, which could be trucked in. And I was considering a rail, something set up in here and then bringing it through. But what I'm going to do to start is I'm actually going to set up some roads and just truck it all in for now. And then the long-term plan would be to bring coal from this area here and somehow get it neatly into a harbor in here and harbor it down there. And then the factories can pick up this harbor with the coal coming in and hitting it in there. Okay. Then the iron, obviously there's 2 here, there's a couple out here, and there's a bunch along here. One thought I had was the iron being shipped into this harbor, and in addition to the fuel, we could potentially have the iron also come into here. Now that's going to create a lot of traffic, not only dropping off a lot of product, but a lot of product that needs to ship into here, because we already need to have the coal go here and then the steel come back to the train station that will go here. So I don't know, maybe we'll figure something different out. I don't know exactly how that will end up looking, but long term we'll need to get an iron solution. But there's plenty here in this close area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a system of roads. And I'm going to start by doing some leveling in here and giving myself some options on where to take these roads. The roads! Like that. Coming like this. Because again, what I want to do, the ultimate overall appearance of this entire map, I don't want it to be just about, okay, well, I needed a road from this point to that point, so I just made a road from point A to point B and it was done. I want it to be much more about, having to work around the infrastructure that would have theoretically been there for other purposes. So it wasn't like, the long-term solution isn't just to put stuff where I need it. It would be like for municipal and provincial purposes of where stuff would actually need to go. So a road connecting these two makes a lot of sense. So what I can do is I'll at least do the start of a road coming along this rail, and then I'll just say, okay, well, we needed to connect to that road, so we made a road down here. And then that's where that would happen. And then the road would continue. Instead of like, oh, I need a road from here to that steel, so I'm just going to make a road like that, and then another road like that, and another road like that, and then another road coming through here. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you role play it out anyway, which I like to do. So what I need to do is, I want to put a road down here, but I don't want it to look too funky either. What I'm thinking is, what if I actually, you know what I did? what I could do is if I did a road parallel to each one and then connected it. So I need to do a little bit more flattening here. Like that. And so if I did a road from, let's say here, and we did it nice and parallel, which this obviously isn't yet, something like that. I don't think that's parallel yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it out until the curve starts like that. That feels pretty parallel. Maybe just back a touch like that. And that is one road. Now over here, I would do the same basic thing. I'm going to start actually where the curve begins, which feels like right around in here. Yeah, right about here. And again, I'm going to kind of do another road like this. And I'm going to drag it down. In fact, you know what? I'm actually going to start it here and have it be like essentially parallel. Change my mind here a little bit. I'm going to have this kind of like this. Like that. And then have the road be like right close alongside this. So it would essentially be, oops, like this. And then drag that road out on a nice perfectly straight line until it gets to that point where we feel like it's curving, which is right around here. And then connect these two roads. Like that. And that looks pretty good. And then you could always come in, whoops. What happened? Come in here. Clean it up. Now it's not perfect, but I'm really happy with how it looks, to be honest with you. Yeah, I like it. If it was perfect, it wouldn't seem right. So now we have this all smoothed out and looking good. Now we have a road that we can use. So what you do is you set up a road along here. Let's say like this. Like that. And then we set up a road you know what? I don't like the road along there. I would much prefer the road along here. And then bring the road to here. And this is what I was afraid of. That this is too close and it won't let us do a connection through. Is that because of flatness or can do it there. Actually, it's letting us do it. It's maybe because it was an angle. It won't let us do it on an angle at all. So let's do the shot out of here on like that. And like that. Come in like that. So now we have the coal hooked up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a straight shot across here. Where is that line? Right there. That looks great. And again, straight shot like that. And I would also need a straight shot across here. That looks fantastic. Like that. And then, is it because of the yeah, it's because of that. I'm going to bulldoze this signal. And come across. Not sure if this is going to work or not. Yeah, it will. That's not too bad at all. And then hopefully what will happen is if I put a truck station at the end of this, yeah, it'll connect to that. So I don't need to cross the tracks, which is perfect. So I put a truck station like that, which, that's the wrong one. Wait, is it? No. Oh, somehow I'm now doing catenary truck stations. I don't know if I screwed that up all day or whatever, but anyway. That would go like this, and go like that, and like that. And then all we would need to do now is I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a straight road down here along the side of this. Have that connect to that on the right angle. And then I'm going to make a direct line to that out of there. So now we have direct lines or direct roads all the way. This we need some more of the truck stations. Obviously, this one will have to be big, and we'll put it. I'm actually going to put it right alongside this here, like that. And then this one here, I'm actually going to put directly on the road. Like this. Like that. And again, lots of smoothing to do. if you want to really make it look nice. So that's coal to... What I could do is bring this coal to here and then have one line going to there. Instead of having... And then you optimize this and then optimize that. It's either way it kind of works. And then we'll need another station here, and I'm going to put this truck station. In both cases, I'll be able to decide how I want to set it up, essentially. How I want to set the lines up, I should say. And then, like that. Then, down here, my plan is, you can kind of see the outline of this, right? And my plan is to essentially have the other one kind of flipped and turned against that line, so it'll be 180'd and stuck over here, so that this would kind of would be over here, and then there'd be basically two steel factories, and then I'm hoping that then the regular industrial can kind of start to fill out around that. So that would mean we would want the drop off currently. If we were to put one here as well, we would want the drop off of this to be like this. And then obviously if we do a harbor eventually, we want the harbor to be able to reach both as well. So we'd have to... In fact, you know what? I'm going to put it down here for now. I'm going to go ahead and put it right... This is drop off only 2, and this is going to be a lot of trucks. But I kind of like the idea of having the trucks put in here. We're kind of slowly moving towards having better trucks available anyway. So again, nice, smooth, sensible lines created that aren't necessarily just spokes coming out of a tire. Not perfectly efficient, but it's how we're going to do it. I'm questioning myself, though. This coal seems like a long ways to truck. I might end up training that in. That seems like a long ways for trucks. We need a lot of trucks to do that. I'm going to think about that in between episodes, because I'm not 100% sure I like it now. It's just a long ways. I like the idea of it, but I'm not sure if it's sensible. And then over here, we're going to need a train station, and we could start to take a look at how that could look. Because we want it to be on an angle, so it's a straight line just off the side of this, right through here, and then it would come up basically right into here. Because what I want to do is the train line is going to come right through here, and then up through here like this, cut through this valley like this, all the way up through here, and then turn into that. So it's going to be down through the valley, tunnel through there, come straight along here, and then the train yard will essentially be right here. It'll be a big old train yard, because we're going to have it's going to be at least 4 of just cargo. And whether we have to decide whether or not we're going to want potentially... No, that's probably fine. I was going to say whether or not we want a PAX line, but I think this is another example where we're just going to have basically a bus line here and not have a rail. Okay, yeah, so that's going to be there, because we're going to have... From this side, we're going to be bringing in plastics. From this side, we're going to be bringing in steel. And then we're, of course, going to be sending goods out. And then long term, there's a very good potential that we're going to be bringing machines in through this as well, because the machines are going to be made up here. And my thought was, if we brought them via boat out of Dediopolis, we could bring them on boat into Druidville Harbor and then ship them up into here. Like that. And what we'll be able to do is, because we're bringing goods down, we could actually double dip the goods coming down into here and then the machines coming back out. So that would be a double dip line right there, making it work in both directions. But I think I'm going to let this one end right now, and then when I come back, I'll have made some decisions, set up some lines, and kind of got the steel and the plastic kind of working, and then we'll set up the stuff to transition those products to Rangerton to get the goods going. So when you see us next time, we will have goods going. That's a promise. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. Again, do not forget, like these videos, really helps me out. And leave some comments down below as well. I really want to know what you guys like, what you guys want to see, and how I can set these videos up to make you guys even happier. All right, folks. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.